Welcome to today's tutorial, and for today we're going to design a simple poster for Porsche vehicles in Adobe Photoshop. I'm going to teach you how to do this design from scratch. Now, when you open your bridge in Adobe Photoshop, you click on New File. After you click on New File, you're going to enter your title over here. So I'm going to enter my title, that is Porsche poster. And then for the dimension, we're going to use is a 5 by 5 in inches. The orientation is landscape and the resolution is 300 pixels. You're going to set our color mode to RGB, and then our background content is set to transparent. You're going to go to color manage, and then we'll go ahead and then create our file. After opening, this is what comes up. We have a blank layer. Let me go ahead and create a group by pressing Ctrl G on my keyboard, and I'll press BG. So that's the name of this group. I'm going to create a background. Now my background is going to comprise of two things. The first is this one, that is the desert layer, and then the second will be that of the sky. I've got two images I want to use for the sky, and this one and the second one. Okay, so I'm going to place this one there. I'm waiting for it to load. After I place this one there, I make sure this one is below the second one. Now I'm going to select both of the layers, and then I bring it into my background. It should have been on the empty layer, so let me delete it. I don't need it for now. So now I have my sky layer here, and I want to bring in the second sky layer. In fact, this should be underneath all of them. Okay, so it should still be in the BG. Good. So I'm going to move that one upwards to here, and then for this one I'm going to press Ctrl T, and then I'll make sure I expand in all directions by pressing on your Alt key and then expanding it out. So I want it to look something like this. This thing should just pop out slightly. I want my clouds to look like they are below, not above. Okay, now this thing is not placed well. For me to fix this situation, I think the only thing I can do is to expand it so that it becomes bigger than its container. And then for this layer, I'm going to create a layer max. When I create the layer max, then I'll press my B on my keyboard to enable my brush. Now I'm seeing this because my caps lock has been turned on, so I'll turn off my caps lock. Okay, now this is not the brush I really want. I want the soft round brush. Under the general brushes, I'm going to use the soft round brush, and I'm going to make sure that the size is smaller. Okay, now my flow is set to 100, my opacity is set to 100, my hardness is set to 0, and I have to brush off these layers. Now to brush it off, you have to set your foreground color to black. We are on a white mask, so you press the X key on my keyboard to invert your foreground and the background color, and then you just wipe off this part. Okay, you can see that it blends in nicely, and I press the V key on my keyboard. Now after I do that, usually when I design and I just arrange my layers before I do any kind of editing. So to continue my arrangement, I'll just bring in my vehicle. Mind you, I got this image on Google. It wasn't any AI prompt or anything. It was just Google, and you could see that this image is of high quality. There's an advanced search you could do on Google to get your high quality images. If you want me to teach you how to do the advanced search on Google to get your high quality images, just let me know in the comment section and I will do that for you. I'll make a video on that for you. So I'll just place my image there. I'm not going to resize the image or anything. I'm just going to place it there. It looks kind of real. And then apart from that, I have to bring in my last layer, which is the palm fronts. Okay, so I'm going to right click and click horizontal. I didn't have to press Ctrl T. I have my arrow, my bounce, my guides on my layer already, and because of that, I don't have to be pressing Ctrl T all the time like I used to do my previous video where I would always press Ctrl T before I would transform. What I enabled is this one. I show the transform control so that anytime I want to transform, I wouldn't have to be pressing Ctrl T all the time. Okay, so I'm going to place this one right in the corner here, and I think it's big. Now for the vehicle, I'm going to press Ctrl G for that, and I'm going to rename this as car. I want to do a lot of edits on the vehicle. Should I work on the vehicle or the header first? All right, let me work on the BG. Let me do some final touches on the BG, especially for the sand layer that we have over here. Realize that it's a bit too bright, and the image is also bright, so I could do a curves adjustment to reduce the tones on it a bit. I make sure I create a clipping mask to clip it on the desert sand, and I just bring it down a bit, and I think it's fine. So let's see before after. It's better now. The sand doesn't look like it's been too scorched too much. Good. And after I've done that, I think at this point I'm done with this layer, and I would have to go into the next layer, that is the vehicle. So for my vehicle, I need to do some couple of settings for my vehicle, and my settings always start with my camera raw filter. So for my vehicle, I press Ctrl Shift plus A to enable my camera raw filter. Alternatively, I can go into filter, then I go into camera raw, but I have to select the layer first. And I go to filter, and I go to camera raw filter. But the shortcut is Ctrl Shift A, and I always love to use shortcuts. It makes my work easier, So I press Ctrl Shift A. My Photoshop takes some time to load, but eventually it would. And the first thing I always like to do in my camera raw filter is to sharpen my image. This time around, I'm going to sharpen it to about 40. And then I'm going to go into my basic, and in my basic I'll go into my textures and increase my texture to about I think 31 will do, and then my clarity could stay at about 10. I think 10 will do. Yes, my clarity could stay at about 10. And then I'm going to reduce my blacks. There's a lot of blacks in this image, and if I'm reducing my blacks, I make sure I'm not reducing it so much. I'll just go to about minus 23, and then the height to reduce to about minus 16 will do. Now after I've done that, I'm going to work on my contrast, highlight, and the shadows. For the shadows, I don't think I'll touch them, but my highlights,